There's a peculiar kind of emptiness that lingers in the heart of a crowded city. You can see it in the hurried footsteps, hear it in the restless sighs, feel it in the tired eyes of strangers passing by. Everyone seems to be chasing something. But what are we really chasing? Is it money, fame, success, love, or maybe it's happiness? That invisible promise we've been conditioned to believe exists just around the next corner, in the next paycheck, the next relationship, the next new car, or the next vacation to some place we can barely pronounce. And yet, no matter how fast we run or how hard we try to grasp it, happiness keeps slipping through our fingers like grains of sand. It's there, and then it's gone. A momentary high, a fleeting spark, before the familiar weight of dissatisfaction settles back in. Why is that? Why, despite living in a world more connected, advanced, and indulgent than ever before, do so many of us feel more anxious, more restless, and more incomplete? It's a question humanity has wrestled with for centuries. The Buddha, over 2,500 years ago, observed this very condition of human life. He called it dukkha, a subtle yet persistent sense of dissatisfaction, discomfort, and unease that follows us, no matter how good life seems on the surface. You could be the wealthiest person in town, celebrated by thousands, or loved by the perfect partner, and still, deep down, feel that quiet ache in your chest. A silent question: is this all there is? But what if the problem isn't with life itself? What if it's the way we've been taught to look for happiness? Since we were young, the world has whispered a dangerous lie in our ears. Happiness is out there in that better job, out there in that newer phone, out there in someone else's arms. So we spend our lives chasing, and the chase becomes our habit. We build a maze of expectations, desires, and what-ifs, forever postponing our contentment for a tomorrow that never quite arrives. It's like standing beneath a sky full of stars, searching desperately for a lantern you believe someone hung for you, while ignoring the light you already carry within. The truth, as ancient wisdom has quietly taught for ages, is this: happiness is not something you find, it's something you remember. It's not hidden in the next achievement, nor buried in the arms of another. It doesn't wait at the end of a journey, but rather exists in every step you take if you learn how to see it. The Buddha didn't become enlightened because he acquired more. He awakened because he let go. He let go of the endless cravings. He let go of the illusion that something external could ever satisfy what was, at its core, an internal hunger. And in that letting go, he discovered the profound serenity of being fully present, of resting in the now, of seeing beauty in the ordinary, of hearing wisdom in silence. Modern life is loud. It teaches us to sprint, to collect, to perform. But what if real happiness is quiet? Not the explosive joy of a lottery win, not the adrenaline rush of a risky adventure, but the subtle, steady peace of a heart unburdened. A heart that no longer clings, no longer resists, but simply is. This isn't about abandoning the world or renouncing pleasure. It's about understanding where real fulfillment lies. About realizing that the moment you stop chasing, you start arriving. The old masters often spoke in parables. They told of a man who spent his life digging for treasure in distant lands, only to return home, exhausted, and find it buried beneath his own hearthstone. A simple story, yet it holds the very essence of what we seek. Because what you're looking for is already here. It always was. It's in the warmth of a morning sunbeam brushing your skin, in the quiet hum of the world before dawn, in the taste of a simple meal when you're truly present to savor it. Happiness is found not by adding more to your life, but by awakening to what's already here. And that, dear listener, is the art so few of us are taught, the art of inner happiness. Not the temporary euphoria of external highs, but the steady radiance that comes when you stop chasing and start being. It is both simpler and more profound than we imagine. So if your heart has grown weary of the endless search, if you feel that restless emptiness echoing in your chest, know this: you are not alone, and there is a way not out there but within. In the moments ahead, will gently uncover the timeless wisdom that has guided seekers for centuries, not through grand doctrines or rigid dogma, but through simple, clear truths, the kind that quietly transform you from the inside out. Because the path to inner happiness isn't a destination, it's a homecoming. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to carry a quiet joy within them, untouched by the chaos around them, while others, despite all their successes, wealth, and comforts, feel as though something essential is always missing? It isn't about what they own, it's about what they understand. You see, most of us confuse pleasure with happiness. We chase after pleasant experiences, a delicious meal, a new car, a string of compliments, a romantic thrill, and for a brief moment we feel good. But pleasure is a visitor. It comes and it goes. And when it leaves, we're often left with a deeper hunger than before. It's like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. It satisfies for a second, but the thirst returns, sharper than ever. The Buddha taught that the nature of worldly pleasure is fleeting. It's part of the anicca, the impermanence woven into everything in life. Look around. Every beautiful flower wilts. Every bright morning fades into night. Every joyful laugh dissolves into silence. This isn't a flaw in the design. It's the nature of existence. And yet, we resist this truth. We cling to the good, push away the bad, and exhaust ourselves in a constant battle against the flow of life. In doing so, we trap ourselves in a cycle of craving and aversion, forever chasing, forever fleeing. But what if we stopped? What if we stopped chasing highs and running from lows and instead learned to rest in the still space between them? That, dear listener, is where inner happiness begins. It isn't loud. It isn't showy. It doesn't depend on applause or fortune or perfect circumstances. It's a quiet contentment that hums beneath the surface of your everyday life, like a gentle undercurrent beneath choppy waves. It's the peace of sitting with yourself exactly as you are, without the desperate need to be anywhere else. True inner happiness is born from understanding, not from understanding facts, but from seeing clearly into the nature of things, to witness the impermanence of joy and sorrow alike, and no longer be ruled by either. To see that no possession, no achievement, no fleeting pleasure can offer lasting fulfillment, because by their very nature they come and go. It's like watching clouds drift across the sky. You can try to hold on to the prettiest cloud, but it will always slip through your fingers. Better to learn to love the sky itself. This is what the Buddha meant when he spoke of non-attachment. Not indifference, not cold detachment, but the gentle art of allowing life to flow without trying to possess it. When you stop clinging to what's pleasant and fearing what's unpleasant, a spaciousness opens within you. And in that space, peace rises, like a lotus emerging unstained from muddy water. The ancient masters understood this well. They spoke of a happiness not dependent on circumstance, a joy untouched by gain or loss, a freedom not from life's ups and downs, but within them. It's the kind of contentment you feel watching the rain fall on a quiet afternoon, with nowhere to be and nothing to prove. The quiet joy of a shared smile with a stranger. The deep exhale when you finally let yourself be fully here in this unrepeatable moment. This happiness isn't found in the peaks of experience, but in the simple act of presence, of noticing the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of leaves rustling in the wind, the rhythm of your own breath, rising and falling like the tide. It lives in the pauses, in the spaces between thoughts, in the ordinary moments we so often overlook. So the nature of inner happiness is not about creating a perfect life. It's about cultivating a perfect awareness of life as it is. It doesn't mean denying sorrow or pretending difficulties don't hurt. It means allowing them to come, allowing them to go, and resting in the knowing that no storm lasts forever. As the old Zen saying goes, let it come, let it be, let it go. This simple wisdom changes everything. Because when you realize that your peace does not depend on conditions, you become unshakable. You become like a mountain, steady amidst passing storms, not by resisting them, but by standing firm in your own stillness. And this This is the art of inner happiness, not a happiness that needs to be chased or built or bought, but one that quietly unfolds when you return to yourself, when you no longer cling to the highs nor fear the lows, when you no longer seek escape from this moment but instead sink deeply into it. It's simpler than you think, and it's closer than you imagine. It waits right here. If happiness isn't found in possessions, if it isn't held in applause, nor built upon perfect circumstances, then where does it truly live? The answer, as ancient wisdom has quietly whispered for centuries, is simple. It lives in the mind, but not in the way most of us believe. You see, the modern world teaches us that happiness is something we acquire, a prize we win when the conditions of our life finally align in just the right way. The right job, the right partner, the right number in your bank account. And yet, how often does that perfect alignment actually arrive? And when it does, how long does it last? The Buddha pointed us toward a deeper truth, that the mind is both the source of our suffering and the birthplace of our peace. It isn't the world outside that unsettles us, it's the way we interpret it. The mind weaves stories around what happens to us. It labels, judges, resists, and clings. A single comment from a stranger can become a wound we carry for years, not because of the words themselves, but because of the meaning we assign to them. A missed opportunity, a failure, a loss, these are events. But whether they become a weight around your heart or a lesson that strengthens your soul, that choice belongs to your mind. This is why two people can stand in the same rainstorm, one cursing the wet, the other dancing in it. The world is the same, but the mind makes it heaven or hell. The Buddhist teachings often use the metaphor of the mind as a painter. It paints the canvas of your life with the colors of your thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. If your palette is filled with fear, anger, and desire, your world takes on those shades. But if you learn to cultivate patience, gratitude, and clarity, the very same world softens into something altogether different. You see, the mind isn't the enemy. It isn't something to be silenced or conquered. It's a garden. And like any garden, it yields what you plant. Plant seeds of resentment and you harvest bitterness. Plant seeds of presence, compassion, and equanimity, and you'll gather a harvest of quiet joy. But here's the part no one tells you. Most of us inherited our seeds. From parents, from society, from wounds we never asked for. And unless we become conscious gardeners of our own minds, we simply keep watering what was planted long ago. This is why mindfulness matters. Not because it makes you calm or zen in a trendy sense, but because it puts you back in the seat of the gardener. It allows you to notice, this thought, is it bringing peace or pain? This belief, is it helping me live with openness or closing me off from life? And with that noticing, choice returns. The old sages would say, your mind shapes your world. And modern psychology now echoes the same. Cognitive science confirms what meditators have known for centuries, that perception isn't a passive act. We don't merely see the world as it is, we see it as we are. This is both a sobering and a liberating truth, because it means we can begin to reshape the very experience of our lives, not by rearranging external circumstances, but by learning to work skillfully with the mind itself. When a difficulty arises, instead of spiraling into complaint or despair, we can pause. We can breathe. We can watch the thought form, rise, and fall like a wave dissolving back into the sea. And in that space, a miracle happens. We begin to realize that no thought, no emotion, no circumstance has the power to dictate our happiness unless we grant it permission. This is not to deny life's hardships. Pain will visit. Loss will knock on your door. The mind will wander into dark alleys. But when you understand the nature of the mind, that it creates and dissolves suffering by the stories it tells, you can meet those moments differently. Not with avoidance, nor with numbing distraction, but with the quiet courage to stay, to feel, to watch, and to let go. Because every storm in the mind is temporary, and behind every restless thought there is a vast, unshaken sky. The Buddha often compared the enlightened mind to a calm lake, When the surface is still, it reflects the world clearly. When it's disturbed, the reflection distorts, but the water itself remains pure beneath the ripples. Your mind is that lake. And with practice, with gentle attention, you can learn to steady its surface, to notice the ripples without drowning in them, to let life's storms pass while remaining rooted in something deeper, something untouchable. That, my friend, is the art of inner happiness, not the absence of difficult thoughts, but the presence of a deeper awareness that holds them lightly. And as this awareness grows, you'll find a beautiful truth, that happiness isn't something you find. It's something you create moment by moment, thought by thought, breath by breath. And it all begins in the mind. A wisdom that doesn't speak in words or shout for attention. It reveals itself in those rare, unguarded moments when we set aside our endless wanting, our restless chase for more, and simply feel. Feel the presence of another's suffering. Feel the weight someone carries even if their face hides it well. Feel gratitude for a breath, for a dawn sky, for a moment of peace. And in those moments, something remarkable stirs within us. A deeper kind of happiness, not the sharp thrill of accomplishment, nor the fleeting warmth of praise, but a softer, steadier flame, one that neither wind nor storm can extinguish. Buddhist teachings have long pointed toward two qualities as the foundation of an awakened heart: compassion and gratitude, not as moral obligations, not as feel-good cliches, but as the very medicine for the suffering of the human mind. You see, much of our unhappiness comes not from what's missing, but from what we refuse to see. We walk through life with blinders, fixated on what we lack, what we wish were different. And in doing so, we miss the quiet miracles unfolding around us moment by moment. The kindness of a stranger, the warmth of sunlight on the skin, the gentle sound of leaves in the wind. The fact that, despite everything, you woke up this morning with a heart still beating. Gratitude doesn't require perfection. It isn't reserved for the days when everything goes right. In fact, it's most powerful when things don't. When you can stand in the wreckage of your plans, amidst the ache of loss or disappointment, and still whisper, "Thank you." Not because you enjoy the pain, but because even here there is life. And life, in all its rawness, is still precious. Then there's compassion. The Buddha described compassion as the trembling of the heart at the suffering of another. It isn't pity. It isn't superiority. It's a quiet recognition. I too know what it is to hurt. When we soften toward others, something shifts inside us. We step out of the small, self-centered drama of our own stories. We realize that every face we pass hides its own silent battles. And in extending kindness, even in the smallest ways, we loosen the tight grip of our own suffering. Because here's the beautiful paradox: when you lighten the burden of another, you lighten your own. Modern neuroscience has begun to catch up with this ancient wisdom. Studies show that acts of compassion stimulate areas of the brain associated with joy and connection. That the simple act of offering sincere kindness releases chemicals that soothe the nervous system, ease anxiety, and lift the heart. But beyond science, there's a deeper knowing. You felt it, in those moments when you gave without expectation, when you paused to listen to someone's pain without rushing to fix it, when you forgave even though part of you wanted to stay angry. Those moments leave a mark, not on the world perhaps, but on your soul. They expand the space inside you, make room for light where there was heaviness. And in that opening, happiness quietly returns, not the loud, flashing kind, but the kind that sits with you in silence, content to simply be. Compassion and gratitude are not distant ideals. They are practices. And like any practice, they grow stronger with use. You begin by noticing the tightness in your chest when you see someone in pain and choosing not to look away. Noticing the tiny, beautiful things you so often overlook and letting yourself be touched by them. A bird's effortless flight, the sweetness of cool water, the steady presence of someone who cares. And in those small, everyday recognitions, the heart begins to open. The walls you didn't know you'd built start to soften, and you realize happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you uncover. It was there all along, beneath the weight of your defenses, your judgments, your relentless striving. The old masters would say, the path is not about adding, but removing the barriers we've built between ourselves and the quiet joys of being alive. And compassion, gratitude, these are the tools. With them you remember how to see clearly, how to feel deeply, how to meet each moment not with resistance but with a kind of sacred curiosity. What is this life offering me now? And here's the quiet secret. When you live this way, happiness stops being a goal. It becomes the natural scent of a heart unburdened, not perfect, not always easy, but real. And that perhaps is the most beautiful happiness of all. As we continue this journey together, we'll explore another layer, one that reveals how chasing happiness in the world outside keeps us forever hungry, and how understanding this illusion changes everything. There's a secret truth quietly whispered through the centuries, a truth so simple and yet so often forgotten. Everything changes. The breath you're taking now will soon be gone. The thoughts racing through your mind will fade into stillness. The people you love, the moments you cherish, the storms you fear. All of it moving in an endless, graceful dance of arising and passing away. This is the wisdom of impermanence. Buddhism teaches that clinging, our desperate attempt to hold onto what we love, to avoid what we fear, is the root of suffering. Because how can you hold on to a river? How can you trap the wind in your hands? How can you demand that a sunset stay just a little longer? We try, of course. In small, heartbreaking ways, we cling to youth, to status, to relationships that have long outgrown their meaning, to ideas about how life should be. And when life, in its natural flow, refuses to obey, we suffer. But what if, instead of resisting, we learn to move with the current, to recognize the bittersweet beauty and the fleeting nature of things? You see, impermanence isn't a cruel trick. It's not some cosmic punishment. It's a reminder, a gentle tap on the shoulder that says, this moment is precious because it will not last. And in that awareness, something remarkable happens. A sunrise becomes more than light. A laugh shared with a friend becomes a kind of sacred ritual. Even grief, sharp and aching, becomes a testament to the depth of your capacity to love. There's a famous story in Buddhist lore about a woman named Kisa Gautami. Her child died suddenly, and in her grief, she ran from house to house, begging for medicine to bring him back. A wise monk told her to find a mustard seed from a house untouched by death. She searched and found none. It was then she understood sorrow visits every home. No one escapes the turning of life's wheel. And in that painful wisdom, peace began to take root. Impermanence isn't here to break us. It's here to soften us, to remind us to stop sleepwalking through our days, to taste our tea while it's still warm, to say the words we mean, to forgive, to hold the ones we love with tenderness, knowing that every meeting carries the quiet echo of a goodbye. Modern life often pushes us to chase permanence, to freeze happiness in a photograph, to lock in certainty, to craft identities, careers, and futures that feel unshakable. But in truth, everything you now know will someday be different. And this isn't cause for despair, it's a call to live fully, to truly be here now. The monks in ancient monasteries would sometimes meditate in graveyards, not out of morbid obsession, but to deepen their understanding of life's preciousness. They understood that by sitting face to face with impermanence, we don't become morose. We become free. Because when you realize you cannot hold on, you begin to let go. And in letting go, you find a kind of peace that no possession, no relationship, no worldly success could ever offer. A peace that isn't dependent on conditions. A happiness that doesn't need everything to go right. A heart that can hold both joy and sorrow and remain open. This wisdom isn't meant for monks alone. It belongs to all of us. You don't need to retreat to a cave. You don't need to abandon the world. You only need to pause, to notice, to remember that the laugh you share today may not come tomorrow, that the struggle you feel so trapped in will pass, that every experience, whether tender or terrifying, is a teacher. And in embracing this, you'll discover an inner resilience, not hard and brittle but supple like bamboo in the wind, able to bend, to sway, to dance with life's shifting tides. As our journey continues, we'll explore another illusion, one that keeps so many souls restless and unsatisfied, the chase for happiness in the external world, and how, by turning within, by learning to see with new eyes, we uncover a happiness no storm can steal. Right where you are, notice the quiet hum of life around you, the rise and fall of your breath, the weight of your body against the chair, the way light spills across the room. This, right here, is your life, and it's happening now. Yet how often do we miss it, lost in anxious predictions of the future, or tangled in regrets of the past, chasing happiness in tomorrow's promises, or mourning yesterday's mistakes? We forget the only place joy truly lives, this present moment. In Buddhist wisdom, mindfulness is called sati, a lucid awareness of what's happening within and around you, without judgment, without grasping, without resistance. It's not about silencing your thoughts or forcing yourself into some serene, otherworldly calm. It's about waking up to the raw, unfiltered reality of now. And in that presence, happiness begins to rise naturally. Mindfulness isn't something you do only when sitting cross-legged on a cushion, eyes closed, in a quiet room. It lives in the small, ordinary acts, in the way you sip your morning tea, in how you greet a stranger on the street, in noticing the warmth of sunlight on your skin, in catching yourself before reacting with anger and choosing kindness instead. These simple moments, multiplied, shape the landscape of your inner world. And the more you practice mindfulness, the more you realize it isn't the world that needs to change for you to be happy. It's the way you experience it. A Zen master once said, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The outer tasks remain. The bills, the conversations, the heartbreaks, the quiet triumphs. But your relationship with them transforms. The difference lies in presence. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you're sad, allow sadness. When you laugh, savor it. In doing so, life stops being a blur of half-lived moments and becomes a string of sacred beads, each one precious, shimmering, complete. Modern life seduces us with speed. More to do, more to achieve, more to own, more to prove. But in that restless chase, we lose ourselves. We scroll through endless feeds, comparing, wanting, numbing. We multitask through meals, conversations, even our own emotions. And what do we gain? A constant, low hum of dissatisfaction. A sense that something vital is always just out of reach. Mindfulness is the antidote. It's the invitation to stop running, to return to yourself, to inhabit your own skin, to meet each moment not as a problem to be solved, but as a mystery to be lived, one breath at a time. Even now, as you listen, notice your breath, not to change it, not to control it, simply to feel it, the subtle rise, the gentle fall. This breath has carried you through every joy and sorrow of your life. And in this quiet noticing, something ancient stirs within you, the remembrance of your own aliveness. You see, happiness isn't a destination you reach when life is finally perfect. It's a quality of attention, a way of being. And mindfulness is the gateway. By training your awareness, by learning to be fully where you are, you begin to notice beauty where others see monotony, peace where others find irritation, gratitude in the midst of struggle. And no, this doesn't mean you'll never feel sadness, anger, or fear again. It means you'll no longer be their prisoner. You'll feel the storm and still stand. You'll witness the pain and still open your heart. The Buddha once likened mindfulness to a lamp carried into a dark room. Instantly, the shadows recede, not because the room has changed, but because you can finally see. And in that seeing, in that tender awareness of both the darkness and the light, happiness finds you, not as a fleeting thrill, but as a steady warmth, a quiet knowing, a trust in the simple miracle of your own being. As our path nears its final chapter, we'll return to where we began, to that invisible search every human heart undertakes. and discover how the happiness we chased through the world was always waiting within, in the gentle ache of a heart remembering something ancient and real. The truth is this: what you have searched for in people, in achievements, in fleeting pleasures and distant futures was never outside of you. It lives within. The Buddha called it nibbana, the unshakable peace untouched by circumstance. Others have named it presence, grace, the radiant heart. But you don't need a label. You only need to remember that happiness is not something to pursue. It's something to uncover. A clearing away of noise, of restless wanting, of the stories we tell ourselves about what we lack, so we can stand bare and unguarded in the simple, wild aliveness of now. You see, no life is without sorrow. No heart is without ache. But when you learn to meet your days with mindfulness, to cradle both joy and grief with compassion, to bow to the impermanence of all things, knowing it makes each moment sacred, a quiet, steady happiness begins to bloom, not loud, not dramatic, but deep and real. It will steady you when storms arrive. It will soften your gaze when life feels harsh. It will make you gentle with yourself and tender with others. And perhaps most beautiful of all, it will remind you that you are already whole. This isn't the kind of happiness that depends on everything going right. It's the kind that knows how to find warmth in a cold morning, how to smile through tears, how to carry light even in the darkest hours. This is the art of inner happiness, and you, dear listener, have always carried the brush. If this journey has stirred something within you, a question, a memory, a small flicker of light, I invite you to keep walking this path with us. Subscribe to this channel, because together we'll keep exploring the quiet wisdom of the ancients, the timeless teachings of Buddhism, and the art of living with a free and open heart in a restless world. Leave a comment below. Tell me what spoke to you most. What chapter, what line, what moment made you pause? I read every word, and this community, this little sanctuary of seekers, is richer because of your voice. And if you found value here, consider sharing this video with someone you care about. You never know whose heart it might reach. Until our next journey together, may you be well, may you be peaceful, and may you remember you are enough exactly as you are.